What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here with some Detroit Lions news. We have some updates with the Lions injury, specifically with offensive lineman Taylor Decker. We're going to talk about this offensive line a little bit. Plus, I want to revise my score prediction for this game, as this is my official score prediction for the Lions opener against the 49ers tomorrow. Or actually, by the time we're seeing this, today, just hours later. So let's get it started.
Way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here, and I am pumped to share this with you. And I'm noticing right now my sloth is laying down. Sloth, get up for this. Be excited. Sorry, he moves slow. That wasn't good. Michigan just won, by the way, which I'm excited about, so I'm pretty gassed for that. But I'm going to try to keep this video pretty short because it is kind of late, and I know I got to get some sleep. Yes, I will be at the game tomorrow, so I'll be unable to stream, but maybe I'll get some clips from there. We'll see. You know, of course, we'll be back with our takeaways tomorrow, and if I can, I may put a video up early tomorrow on some of the inactives that we know, but keep locked in the community section. So if you go to my channel, go to the community tab, and I may throw the inactive list there. I mean, there's only a few guys on this injury report, and Taylor Decker we already know about. We have some questionables with Michael Brockers, Levi, Nick Williams. Brockers we're expecting to play, so he should be good to go. Then it comes down to Nick Williams and Levi, whether or not they're playing. I think both of them should go. There's also AJ Parker on that list as well. We also know TJ Hockenson and DeAndre Swift are both in. So there shouldn't be anything crazy that we see on the injury report tomorrow that we weren't necessarily expecting. But when the inactives come out, I'll probably post it on the community if I'm not in a spot where I can record and talk about it really quickly. However, let's dive into this. Let's talk about this offensive line a little bit. So Taylor Decker, we have an update here on Decker. So after having finger surgery, that is kind of where the Lions were leaning, is that they were going to have surgery. So we know that he was already ruled out for this game on Friday. Now, we don't know officially who's going to start at that left tackle spot, but we believe it will be Penei Sewell. He's been taking a majority of his reps at that spot. So what does this mean for Taylor Decker? How long is he out? Well, we don't know the exact amount of time that he will be out. However, after having surgery, he'll have to at least be out for 3 weeks for the Lions because he has been placed on injury reserve, which makes sense. They place him on IR. It opens a roster spot. So now for at least 3 weeks, he will not be able to practice. He's on IR. Now, after those 3 weeks are up, he will be able to get back out there, practice with the team. So he will miss, that means this week, Green Bay. He will also miss the Ravens game, and he'll probably miss the Bears game as well. So those, kind of first 4 games he'll probably miss for the Lions, at least being on IR. We'll see how serious it is. We'll see how long it lasts, but we won't see Taylor Decker at the beginning of this season. Obviously, that's a huge loss. You're talking about a very big piece of this offense, a guy that got paid, right before Frank Ragnow be our left tackle. So it's definitely a big loss, especially when you look at the early schedule. I mean, we're going to be tested. We were going to be tested. So to lose your left tackle that's pretty darn reliable is tough. So then you ask yourself, okay, what are the Lions going to do at the offensive line spot? Well, from everything that we know so far, it sounds like Sewell will be starting at that left tackle spot in this game. We talked about it in the injury report, but the idea is Penei Sewell will be moving back to the left tackle spot. He's been taking a majority of his reps in practice there. And the Lions have a couple of options. They had the option of pushing Matt Nelson there, where he played in the Colts game when Dan Skipper went down. They had the option of possibly pushing a guy like Big V from guard to that left tackle spot where he played in that Philadelphia Super Bowl run. Or they had the option of, moving your rookie Penei Sewell to that left tackle spot. Now, Sewell did make it clear that when Taylor Decker returns, he will be back at the right tackle position. This is going to be interesting for Sewell to see how well that he can transition back to that left tackle spot. It could be kind of tough. I don't know. But it sounds like the Lions are going with the guy that they invested their 7th pick in, their top pick in the draft, over Matt Nelson, or moving Big V out of spots. And like we said, I mean, no matter what, really, who you put at that left tackle spot, it's kind of moving positions. Yes, Nelson played some left tackle in the preseason, but he was mainly the backup right tackle. Yes, Big V has played left tackle, but for the last, basically some of last year and now this entire offseason, he's been working at guard and trying to improve at that spot. So no matter who you're putting at left tackle is probably going to be moving out of the position that they've been working at a majority of the time with the Lions. The thing about Sewell is, we know in college, for the year that he was there at Oregon, he played at left tackle spot, and he was a stud. mean, he was the best tackle in the draft. He was an absolute stud. Didn't play against the best competition. Definitely has the most upside. Maybe not the most NFL ready, but he was a stud at that spot. But we transitioned him to right tackle, which makes sense, and that transition sounds like it's going to continue. But the question is, how fast can he get back to that left tackle spot, find consistency at that left tackle spot to help us through at least the first quarter of this season, it sounds like. So that's what we'll have to keep an eye on at this position. It's going to be a test for the young guy. He's going to see a lot of Nick Bosa at that left tackle spot, likely, even though they can interchange guys like Armstead, Bosa, Ford. But he's probably going to see a lot of Nick Bosa in this game. But we know he was a stud back in college. He can definitely run block either side you put him on. So while this isn't necessarily the long-term solution, because Decker, of course, when he comes back, you're not going to move him out of his spot. But at least for the short term, hopefully Penei Sewell can fill in that spot. And you're trusting the guy, like I said, that you invested in. The first offensive lineman off the board, you're trusting him. And if the Lions didn't have a left tackle and they were set at right tackle, you probably would be playing this spot anyways. It's just that he's been training at right tackle really since pre-draft when he was showing teams that he could do that. And since he's joined the Lions, that's been his spot. But I've heard that he said it's like riding a bike. So hopefully this is something that he's able to come in and click with right away. Expect to see Sewell at left tackle, and at right tackle, Matt Nelson. Also remember, right tackle is a spot that he's played a lot more at. I mean, he's the guy that went from defensive line to offensive line. And with us, that transition where he said it was my job to eat. This dude was just eating food. He was trying to bulk up. And the Lions had a plan for him when they brought him in from Iowa. The plan was, let's move to offensive line. He talked it over and he's like, yes, this is the best decision for me going forward. So he headed to Detroit, switched to offensive line, and we've seen him mainly at right tackle. Now, we haven't seen him a ton, but as we know, Terrell Crosby is on IR. We know that Dan Skipper is on IR. So Matt Nelson at right tackle is a better spot for him because this is where he's seen him play more. I mean, like we said, in that Chicago game where he did, well against Khalil Mack, really only allowed like 2 pressures in that game on the right side of the offensive line. He was at the right side. He wasn't on the left side. So really the only time we've seen him a lot at the left side recently is in that Colts preseason game when Skipper went down. But his main position was back at right tackle, where he started to kind of click as the preseason went on. So at least for him, it's a spot that he's going to be comfortable in. And like we said, he did play well against Mack. We needed him to step up. So it's probably going to be more comfortable for him. So if Sewell can click, this is more comfortable for Matt Nelson, we could be okay. I think the guards are going to be very important. But not moving Big V should be helpful. Keeping Jonah Jackson at left guard. And also, of course, you have that man in the middle, Frank Ragnow. Now, there is some movements that the Lions have made, including signing Tommy Kramer to the active roster, but also putting him on the 53-man roster. Because that spot is now opened up with Decker going to IR, Kramer has been added to the 53-man roster. That's interesting. It's really interesting that the Lions would do this. You have Logan Stemberg. We know that he was dealing with a little bit of injury, but he played well in the preseason, well enough to find a spot on the 53-man roster, and he must not be hurt enough to put him on IR, so we've kind of kept him there. Now, remember, Logan Stemberg played a lot more at that left guard spot through the preseason. However, Tommy Kramer a little bit more at that right guard spot. I think a couple things going on here. Number one, how healthy is Logan Stemberg if we had to put him in this week, right? If you had to put him in at that guard spot, how healthy is he? That'd be the first thing I would ask. I don't know how healthy is he. It may be something where it's like, okay, we're okay with him. We want to keep on the active roster, but it's not serious enough where we want to put him on IR where he has to miss at least 3 weeks. So maybe he's not super healthy for this week. So their plan may have been to promote him anyway, but now that this spot's open up, they're like, let's just sign him to the roster. Dan Campbell likes Kramer. And it also possibly gives you the option to have a guy like Big V move if you had to move Big V from the right guard spot to left tackle or right tackle. Who's going to fill into that right guard spot? It definitely could be Tommy Kramer, who played that a majority of the time through the preseason. Now, if Stemberg's good, they could roll with Stemberg. But with the spot open, they decide to add an offensive lineman back to the 53-man roster. And that's a guy that Dan Campbell praised after the final preseason game. It's Tommy Kramer. Also made the move of promoting Will Holden from the practice squad to this roster for this game. That's the only guy so far they promoted to the roster for this game, which means that we will have basically a backup tackle. Yes, he can play some right tackle. Most recently, he played left tackle starting against the Steelers last season. We saw him a couple of times. When in pinch, he could probably play both tackle spots if something happened. But I would say it's probably preferably left tackle because he did it more recently. But he just seems like the backup option right now because really you don't have a backup option at tackle with where you're sitting. So that's why he was promoted. Kind of a no-brainer. He hasn't been here a ton, but in a pinch, in an emergency, you got to have someone play the tackle spot. It could be that option for the Lions. Now, it is interesting because if they just view him as kind of the backup left tackle, then maybe if something came up on the right side, they could just push Big V to right tackle during the game and and throw, a guard in. So this may not be their first option, because they do have the ability to move a guy like Big V around depending on what happens. But now they have backups at guard and at tackle. And of course, they have their backup center in Evan Brown. So they have options with this offensive line heading into week 1. One thing that sticks out to me here is that Darren Paulo did not get activated, who played right tackle throughout the preseason. So if it's just that they will hold him better and they're more confident with him, or it's that they have more trust with the guy that's played a little bit more left tackle than maybe Darren Paulo because of the moves that you're making at that left tackle position. But what that means is that they still can promote one player off the practice squad. They don't have to, but 90 minutes up until kickoff, you can promote a player off the practice squad to the active roster for a game. And the Lions haven't done it. There's no guarantee they will do that. However, I would keep an eye on cornerback Nikel Roby-Coleman. Steven Montez could be the option. That way you have 3 quarterbacks. It definitely could be, right? It could be a defensive lineman like a Bruce Hector if some of these guys like Williams or Levi can't perform. But assuming that they can, even if A.J. Parker can play, I would look at Nikel Roby-Coleman as someone to promote, to have that backup slot nickel position if something does happen. Because right now, behind Parker, I don't really know who the Lions would put at that slot spot if they had to. Elefanu would be the next guy up because I saw him do it in practice. He's much bigger. He's more of an outside guy, but I think that's where they would probably throw him. They've mixed him in there. They've got him involved there. So that'd probably be the next option up. It's a guy like Bobby Price who went from safety to cornerback, but he got most of his reps at outside cornerback, and that's still just a transition on its own for him. Could also be a guy like Jerry Jacobs. We didn't see much, but we saw a few snaps from that slot spot. Plus, he has a history of doing that back in college. So that could be your next best option if Coleman is not promoted. However, they want to have another backup slot on the roster. Even though he doesn't give you the versatility to play outside, which is likely why he's not taking up a spot on the 53-man roster, you could definitely promote him for this game, or if you need him, you could put him there. Or for whatever reason, you could slide him in if you needed him. So I would look out for Nikel Roby-Coleman to possibly get promoted to the active roster for this game, even if that's 90 minutes up. But I think right now the Lions are waiting till the inactives come out to figure out where do they need help. Is it at corner? Is it at defensive line? Where do we need help right now? Is there the chance that even though the Lions have been getting majority of snaps to Penei Sewell left tackle, that they just push Big V to left tackle and that they slide a guy like Kramer up to guard? Yeah, I guess that's possible, keeping Sewell at right tackle if they want to do that. They still could. It hasn't been labeled official that Sewell is starting left tackle, but we know he's been taking majority of the snaps there. So it does sound like Sewell will be left tackle. If I had to bet, I would bet that's what's going to happen because it's going to be for probably at least the first quarter of this season. Now, let's talk about the Niners real quick. They made a couple moves. Johnson, the 29-year-old cornerback, has been activated to the practice squad. They needed some help. Emmanuel Mosley is out for this week. They need cornerback help, and he's probably just depth. I don't expect him to start. The rookie out of Oregon, Josh Norman. I keep messing up the dude's name. And they also have Josh Norman, who they can choose from. I think Josh Norman will probably get the start in this game. Last season wasn't awful, but we know he didn't play a ton. He's a vet. He has experience. He came in Monday. Hasn't been a long week for him, so we'll see, but they feel good about where he's at. Norman may get to start opposite of Verrett on the outside, so look for that at the cornerback spot. But to add some depth, they decided to promote from the practice squad Johnson. That's had some experience. I mean, look at last season. He technically played in 14 games, starting in 3 games, allowing a 68% completion percentage, a 100 pass rating, 200 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. In his career, he does have 2 interceptions. Going back to 2017, his last interception, where he also had 7 passes defended that year. Plus, I take an interesting note here. He was with Anthony Lynn back in 2019. So maybe you can give him a little insight. Hopefully not, and I'm sure we'll throw different things at them. But he was with Anthony Lynn for a stint in 2019. So just something to keep in mind there. Also, they have placed a receiver Hurd on IR. I mean, that doesn't affect us a ton this week because we knew he was basically out, but they placed him on IR. So like Taylor Decker, he's going to miss at least 3 weeks with that team. I just want to give you updates on what's going on that side. I'll take a win however we can get it. I really will. I know we're underdogs, but it's week 1. I'm going to be there. How can I predict the loss, man? I'm feeling good. I'm going to believe. Obviously, our backs are against the wall. No one believes in us. But that's what's great because there's nothing to lose, man. There's nothing to lose in this game. All you can go out there and do is prove everybody wrong. That's all you can do because everybody's already expecting you to lose. You're a home team. They're favored by over 7 points on the road. All you can do is shock the world. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a test. It's going to be a very big test for Aaron Glenn as his debut. This is like, oh man, you going against Kyle Shanahan. If you can slow this down, I mean, shoot. Someone needs to give this dude a birthday cake. And then offensively, right, you're missing a guy like Decker, so Sewell needs to step up. They're playing a good defense that is now healthy at week 1. I mean, they might be missing a little bit on the interior defensive line, but for the most part, they're pretty darn healthy defensively. And they're also missing a cornerback. But they're healthy in terms of pass rushers, Bosa, Ford. Everybody knows about, they had those guys defensively. And this is a defense that even last season still was one of the top defenses in football. In terms of pass defense, they were a top defense. 5th in expected points produced by their pass defense, allowing an 88 passer rating. You see 6.6 yards per attempt, so not allowing a lot of shots. That was 4th. 25 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. And again, they were injured last season, which makes it even more impressive. Only a 63% completion percentage allowed, 341 attempts, which is 8th. Good run defense. Last season, they allowed 4 yards a pop, only 106 yards a game, which was 7th, both 7th. What makes that so impressive is that was on 430 attempts against them, which was middle of the pack. So 7th, only 106 yards allowed per game. It's a tough defense, right? We know this is just a good team. This is a team that's projected to be a Super Bowl potential team this season. One slight unknown for San Francisco will be D'Amico Ryans as a new defensive coordinator who has been promoted to this position, who said it's not going to change a ton from what Kyle Shanahan did, but there will be his own wrinkles. So as much unknown as there is with the Lions, there is with the Niners as well, being no more Robert Saleh. So that could be an advantage for us, but also for them. If you look at the history of Kyle Shanahan and Anthony Lynn in week 1, both teams have come out slow. Now, Anthony Lynn isn't our coach, but he's our offensive coordinator. Both teams have come out kind of slow in terms of scoring, so I think this will be a low-scoring game. And you can't do the offensive breakdown. When you dive into the numbers, you see how can the Lions come out and attack this team. I actually really like the short passing attack to the running backs. I like the idea of getting the running backs going in the passing game screens, maybe some tight end screens, something to really slow down the pass rush early in this game, because you got to stay ahead of the chains. I like the plays out to the backfield. We saw the Vikings do it a few years back to the Niners. They had some success early in their drive. Look, rushing the football is going to be tough against this team in general. Now, Anthony Lynn, when you look at his past, he's actually had some really good moments in terms of his running game, being able to have some big splash plays early, have a lot of efficiency there. We haven't seen them go out and run the ball 35, 40 times in week 1 and dominate, but we've seen those efficient splash plays. So I'm looking for short passes early. Receivers, but also to the running backs a lot. Swift, getting those guys out there, allowing them to make some play space to open up everything else to maybe slow down some of that pass rush. That's what I'd be looking for early in this game for the Lions to get things rolling. Easy pass for Goff, gets him in a rhythm. And look, remember, there is no more Robert Saleh there. So you have a whole new defensive coordinator, and we're going to see maybe more cover 1 looks, things like that. So you're going to have matchups on the outside, potentially some one-on-one opportunities where, yes, maybe you can get a deep shot. And of course, if you can get a deep shot, which is something that will just have to wait and see, if you can get a deep shot early, take it. That backs the defense off right away, which is going to open the run game. But I'm looking to that short passing attack to be a spot where the Lions can find some success early and open up some efficiency for a long drive early in this game. Turn around, hand the ball off, and bully this team. More power to them. I would absolutely love that in this game. Maybe some draw plays early to try to throw us off, but especially we're going to see man coverage looks, chance for shot, man-to-man beaters, but that gets your running backs in space, to beat a guy man-on-man, one-on-one. I want Swift in space. That's a matchup I'm looking for. And I know the Lions are as well. That's why they wanted him to play this week. So I'm looking for those guys early to get rolling. They're going to run more cover 1, more of those kind of looks defensively. If you can get a shot, you're going to back that run defense up automatically, right? And that's going to open up that run game, which is what you need to have. In this run game, like I said, it's come out in the past with some efficiency, but we didn't see this offensive line play a ton together. I know we have the running backs, we didn't see this offensive line play a ton together. So with Jamal, Swift, even Jamar, I'll look for the short passing attack for the run game early. After the course of a game, you're usually averaging less than 4 yards a pop. I mean, they're just so difficult to run against, and that makes them super, super tough to get in a spot where you can get the lead early, that you can play ahead of the chains. And that's exactly what the Lions have to do in this game offensively. We talked about the defense. I won't be able to do an offensive breakdown video, but I can tell you this. The Lions got to stay above the chains. So penalties, you got to be disciplined. You cannot beat yourself. If we get into 2nd, 3rd, and longs where we have to pass, they're just like, oh, thank goodness. We can get all these pass rushers after you. And even though our cornerbacks may be a little bit, shaken up, it don't matter because we're going to get after you. We're built to play with the lead like the Chiefs, like the Packers, like the Browns. We're built to play with the lead. So for the Lions defensively, obviously you want to come out strong, but you can't be yourselves. Turnovers need to be avoided in this game. And if we can force any turnovers, if we can win the turnover battle, we'll be in a great spot. You have to be super disciplined, not only in defensive keys, but also just not having dumb flags, right? We got to be on top of that. But if the Lions can run the football, that's going to be a big thing, of course. I'm curious to see how fast this offensive line does in terms of run blocking. shocking. We saw week 1, it wasn't great. Assignment pickups was not fantastic. And we haven't seen really this entire offensive line together, and now there's no Decker, and now you're going to see Nelson at all. Even Kyle Shanahan, this awesome run offense, has shown some struggles week 1. So you know it's going to be a challenge, and that's why no one expects us to win. So go out there, play like that. Play like you have nothing to lose, because you literally don't. No one expects anything anyway. And because I'm going to be there, because I'm going to be screaming, I'm definitely predicting a Lions upset at home. I've been rolling with 17-16 all week, but I'm going to change that. I'm going to update it a little bit. I'm going to roll with Lions 19, 49ers 17. I'm going to hop in here real quick to give a revision of my revision, or revise my revision. What the heck is English? Because, there's one thing that I have to make sure I do better of. That's trusting my gut. Too many times I don't trust my gut. I don't stick with it. So 19-17, it sounds good. I'm going to roll with 17-16. It's a number that hit me earlier this week. I felt good about it at a time to use it a few times. I'm not sure if I'm 100% confident. And I don't want to cheat with 19-17. So I'm going to go 17-16 official score prediction, okay? Trusting my gut. I'm trusting it. I don't really care of the score. I just want to win the dang game. And I'm going to be excited. And shout out to Michigan for making this weekend feel real good. And Oregon as well. You did your thing. Michigan did their thing. Lions. Sorry, I'm throwing stuff. Let's do your thing. I'm excited for this game. I'm going to be there. If you guys see me, say what's up. Say what's up. Just say, hey, what's good? Because I don't know what you look like, but you might know what I look like. So say what's good. I'll see you there. I'm excited for this game. Lions, Niners. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, man. Give me a score prediction. But I want to feel the optimism, man. It's week 1. Why not be optimistic? If you think we're going to lose, I get it. It's a tough matchup, but let's be optimistic, man. It's week 1. What do you have to not be optimistic about? Everybody's optimistic week 1. And that's the beauty of the NFL, man, because you just never know. If you want to check out my defensive game plan video I put out yesterday, I rolled through how tough this offense really is to stop. Guys I'm looking for in this game: outside linebackers, Will Harris. You got the tackle position. You got the St. Browns. You got the Hawks. I would love to see a guy like Khalif take the top off, stretch this defense like he has so far in training camp. You got a guy like Verrett out there who's a little bit smaller, shiftier, faster. He may be the guy that gets some looks against. We'll see how they match up, and then you could possibly have a guy like maybe Norman on Tyrell Williams. So I would love to see him take a shot off. I think if he gets some Norman matchups as an X, definitely think he can beat him deep. But I would really look at Tyrell Williams in this. I think the matchup, he's a problem over the middle. He's a guy with pretty darn good speed for his size. I would look at a guy like that, take some plays in this game against his cornerback matchups, and just do things that they're not fantastic at. So I'm taking a look at Tyrell Williams, see how the Lions utilize, see if he can have a solid day against this defense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.